Jim. Jim,
Yeah.
I see you're broadcasting on the radio. Right here it says Jim Tenmetzel will be in the new Frontier Radio Show, which is this is not to tell you.
Can't find your glasses.
I wouldn't. I see nobody else would. They would lie. They would lie right to my face. Don't let it go close to your head.
Good morning. Please join me in a responsive reading of Judson's Land Acknowledgement, which you can find on page 3 in your bulletin. Place is more than just a piece of land. It's a piece of who we are. For too long, we have associated this place where Judson Church sits with our European American roots, forgetting the people who called this place home for centuries before us. Minnesota, Minnesota, land where the waters reflect the sky, and specifically this part of the Twin Cities, is the ancestral home of the Dakota Aboriginal people. It is home to recreation stories. It is where we hunted, fished, harvested, and cared for the land, raised families, celebrated life and community, and laid their loved ones to rest. We acknowledge that we, the people, our ancestors and governments, forcibly removed the Wapakute from their ancestral lands through relocation, warfare, execution, imprisonment in concentration camps, starvation, disease, and forced assimilation. Treaties were made and subsequently broken by us. We remember and lament the history of this land. Today, we acknowledge and appreciate our Dakota, Anishinaabe, and other indigenous peoples as neighbors and fellow citizens. We commit to do better by our neighbors, to stand with them, and to learn from them as we seek to create a community that sees the Creator's face in everything.
Thank you, Leslie. And isn't it wonderful to have Karen with us on this first Sunday of Advent? Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome on this first Sunday of Advent. Here we are. So this is the chance in the liturgical year to start again. So this is your automatic restart day. This is the beginning of the church liturgical year. And I am wearing my hat for two reasons. One, well, three reasons really. One, because it's cold and it takes me a long time to get warm. Two, because if I take it off, the one thing about, when I turned 50, I decided I was going to not shave and grow my hair out one last time. Because all my friends in the balding community said, this is your last shot. So I'm doing that, and I'm about to blow your mind. So if you have a hat, you might want to put it back on, right? Ready for this. So a liturgical scholar wrote on Facebook this week about the history of the Advent candles. History of Advent candles. The hope, love, peace, joy. 4 Sundays. That was not a thing until the early 1950s. When they came up with the Revised Common Lectionary and the readings for the day, and the publishing house, the Protestant publishing houses, came up with this wonderful idea of the 4 candles and the 4 themes of each Sunday. I can tell you too are as stunned as I was when I discovered it. Stunned, amazed, could not believe it, right? But here we are in this life. So if you ever felt like, what does all those hope, love, joy, peace have to do with Advent? Well, it's really more of a Hallmark thing, right? And so don't worry about it. Yeah, we'll light the candles, and we'll even talk about the themes each day. But as far as do we have to do it? I mean, do we have to shoehorn our themes and ideas into those ideas? No, we don't. So, there we go. It's Advent. For the first 1,000 years, Advent was simply preparation for Epiphany. It really wasn't until St. Francis, who really wanted to have celebrate the Incarnation and celebrate Christmas, that Christmas became Christmas. So for 1,000 years, it was Epiphany. St. Francis was a vegetarian. The only day of the year that he ate meat, Christmas. And that's when he allowed the brothers and sisters to eat meat. And you got to think, that was a terrible thing to do to people, right? I mean, if you're a vegetarian for 364 days a year, and then you eat all this meat for one day, yeah, that's not a good thing to do. So that's not what we're going to do. But we're still developing all these ideas, rituals. What does it mean to celebrate Advent, to celebrate Christmas, to celebrate Epiphany? I mean, each of them has their own themes, each of them has their own days, and it's not up for me to say this is what you should do. It's to find your own way to work through. But more than anything, Advent is a start over. So whatever you've been fretting about, whatever has made you most anxious about life, whatever it is you don't like about yourself that you think, you know, I'd really like to change. Well, today's the day to at least start that. It's not all going to happen today. You know, we get this myth of that. It's more about a tablespoon. Just a tablespoon of change. And eventually, those tablespoons add up to cups. And those cups add up to big jugs. And you're allowed to make big changes in your life. But today it's just a tablespoon. We have communion, which will be another tablespoon. We have a personal reflection, another tablespoon. Beautiful music, another tablespoon. They all add up to these things in life where we are just trying to get these souls of ours just a little bit healed, a little bit loved, a little bit shaped into the things that we hope for deep in life. So here we are, first Sunday of Advent. We're going to light candles. We're going to sing some songs. And we're just going to hope our way into a new day. The call to worship is a responsive reading led by Leslie. And then after that, we will stand and sing, O Come, Emmanuel, singing verses 1, 2, and 3.
Here is the ember of hope in a story passed on through the ages. In the birth of a child, Jesus of Nazareth, Emmanuel, God with us. The first lesson is a poem by Denise Levertov entitled On the Mystery of the Incarnation. It's when we face for a moment the worst our kind can do and shudder to know the taint in our own selves that awe cracks the mind's shell and enters the heart. Not to a flower, not to a dolphin, to no innocent form, but to this creature vainly sure it and no other is godlike. God, out of compassion for our ugly failure to involve, entrusts, as guest, as brother, the Word.
Let's invite the children to come forward at this time, please. Hello, Finn. Okay, well, it is beginning of Advent season, and you don't really have to know what that means, but I want to ask you, whoa, well, let's hear it. Okay, yeah. Do you think you know? Yeah. It's December 1st through Christmas. Oh, you got an Advent calendar. Right, yeah. How many of you have an Advent calendar? Yeah. Yeah, you go. Yeah, and what are the treats behind it? Is it chocolate? Is it? You don't know yet. You don't think your parents put anything in it? What kind of Advent calendar is this? Come on. Come on. We're not Puritans. Come on. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got a question I want to ask you, though, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think about it, all right? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What do you wish could change? What are you waiting for? Okay, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think about it, okay? What are you waiting for? You ready? Go. All right, you did it. Good job. Yeah, you could not have contained yourself, could you? Christmas immediately. What are you waiting for? You're waiting for no more school. Yeah. Finn, say. Oh, you change. You're getting a change. You're going to go to the mulligan. Two things. Okay, Christmas and. Okay. Do you want another one you want to throw out?
Christmas and winter break.
Christmas and winter break. Do you want to add one? Christmas and no school, Christmas and winter break, Christmas and no school.
My volleyball season it starts on Tuesday. I've been waiting for it for a while.
You're waiting for your volleyball season, which starts on Tuesday. You've been waiting for a while. Good job. All right. You're also waiting for your volleyball season to start. Good, right? So you've been waiting, right? So I remember one time I was sitting around a table with some youth, and we did this exact same thing. And there was a kid who was probably about 11 at the time. But you know, like, remember that book, Leo the Late Bloomer? You know, I mean, sometimes it takes a while to start things. And there was this kid, and I said, "What are you waiting for?" And he put his head down, and he said, "I'm waiting to grow." Oh, you know, that just almost broke my heart. And that kid, the next year, grew 6 inches. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean it's just because you say that on today that that's going to happen. But we're all waiting for things. And if you ask all these people out here, they all have different things they're waiting for too, right? They're waiting for a surgery to finally happen. They're waiting for a replacement of some sort to happen. They're waiting for the check to come in the mail, right? All these things. You're waiting for a basement?
Yeah.
right? So the construction is going to start finally in the basement. Stop. Okay, stop. It's amazing the things you can find. What else do y'all want to tell me about your home life? That yeah, no, we'll end there. It's a lot of stuff. I know it's too much, right? Yeah. Way to go. All right, so we're all waiting for stuff, and we light candles. It's part of the waiting thing. So every Sunday, we're going to be waiting a little more, and then finally there'll be Christmas, and there you go, right? Okay, so now receive a blessing from the faith community that loves you. Okay, you're going to have to really dig deep.
Also with you.
Okay, come on.
And also with you.
Okay, thanks.
Waiting.
Good job.
Waiting.
Well, hello, Judson. I hope you've all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. For those who don't know me, my name is Ken Rowe, and I've been coming to Judson probably a third of my overall years. I'm not going to give you an exact number of what that would be, but it's a place that I've always come back to. And I guess that you could call that home. And so it's been a year since I've retired, and I figured it's probably a good time to go ahead and do a reflection. So I'm not going to put this off any longer. I'm going to try to slow down a little bit. I'm going to try to speak loud enough, Craig, so you can hear me. So here it goes. But anyway, looking... What's that? You can hear me fine. Thank you. Thank you. So looking back at those days of being employed, I remember those long 7 a.m. conversations about projects with folks in India. I remember the stress of long meetings, reorgs and tight deadlines. I remember not getting much sleep. And while those memories are beginning to fade, I've been finding more and more time on my hands. So I've been dedicating my time and my energy to one of my hobbies, which is gardening. My interest in gardening was influenced by being raised on a farm. I'm not sure if it was gardening was more of a necessity on the farm or a passion of my parents, but I think it's probably the former. Regardless, that experience brought my brother and me closer to the land. I remember as I was growing up being fascinated by the miracle of how plants take root, of how something so small as a seed could grow into something that could help feed a family. As an adult, I started a vegetable garden after reading a book by Barbara Kingsolver. It was Animal Vegetable Miracle, where she talks about abandoning the food pipeline and raising food on their farm. It got me to think about my own farm roots, of being more connected to the earth. I wanted my children, Madeline and Graham, to be more connected to the food that they ate. Somewhere in the garden, I believe we can open ourselves up to the wonder and see the gift of God. I wanted them to have that experience. So I began breaking up the lawn and turning the soil. Our urban garden was beautiful and at times bountiful. We grew tomatoes, we grew green beans, we grew Swiss chard and onions and zucchini, just to name a few. And for the last 25 years, we've been planting asparagus every year so that we're at this point where in the prime of the season, we pull out a pound a day. And every year, as the strawberries were beginning to ripen, I would find myself hopeful. Our strawberries were small, misshaped gems where every bite was so sweet it made one shiver. Every year I would find myself believing that we would have a bumper crop. And every year I would find myself dreaming of desserts with ripened strawberries, desserts topped with ice cream, strawberries with shortcake, and fresh strawberry shakes. But here's the problem. I've never been very good at raising strawberries. While I was engaging in what I thought was the best gardening practices, my strawberry yield was, well, to put it bluntly, it was terrible. In fact, there were times in the prime of the season where we would only get a dozen strawberries a week. And after seeing those low yields year after year, I was about ready to give up. I began to accept it as being the way that it was. But one of the things I've found now is that I have more time to think, to plan, and to look out my window. And with that, I've found some discoveries. Not only did I have an interest in strawberries, but so did this robin, a very persistent robin. And that robin would pick up one strawberry and then move quickly on to the next, and then on to the next, and then on to the next. And he was determined, and he would come back not once, not twice, but 3 times, 4 times. So I started getting anxious. I started looking out the window more often. I found myself losing sleep and having dreams about robins and strawberries. And that darn robin and my strawberries. And then I started to do what any normal American farmer would do. I would go out of the house running and screaming, trying to chase it away. Well, I'm not very effective as a scarecrow. So I put up the hoops over the garden and put an additional mesh over the hoop. I put another mesh then and used 30 clamps to make things extra secure. I was watching this pesky robin and it was watching me. Who will win this battle? But then there were others coming to the garden. The goldfinches, the rabbits, the voles, the squirrels, and of course, a deer who ate the top of every green bean plant. So what was I to do? Well, I built a higher fence. But then they came, working their way to find something special in that garden. Nature seems to always win. All these animals had a strong will to be in a place where food is plentiful and sweet, to be in a place where hunger could be nourished, to be in a place where, I guess, life was just a little bit better. All this got me to thinking. First, I'm not giving up trying to be a better gardener. We will still get those strawberries, but nature is a good teacher. That garden had something to remind me of that goes beyond the backyard. The garden, to me, represents a place where one can find hope, opportunity, and nourishment. It is a place where miracles can happen. It is a place I could more fully see God. We are all trying to get to something better, to enjoy the sweet taste of God's fruit. So whose garden is it anyway? I'm only a temporary steward on this little corner of earth, one who is sometimes frustrated by the throes of nature. How I arrived and where I will go remains somewhat of a mystery to me. Yes, this is a garden to be shared. It is always meant to be shared. I just hadn't realized it fully. So whose garden is it really? It certainly is not mine. With a God that gives and gives and gives, there is a place for all of us. For these times and for the times we shall never see, it belongs to all of us. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Ken. Thank you. Let's take a moment to settle into ourselves. I invite you all to get comfortable in your pews, close your eyes if you feel comfortable, and bring your attention to your breath for several deep breaths. And then let's take a moment to just put out a question about your own gardens, your own metaphorical gardens. What is it that you are a steward of in these times? What brings you blessings and beauty and grace? And what are your frustrations your struggles and hardships. And what do those frustrations and struggles teach you about yourself and the world and spirit? Just notice what rises up in you with those prompts. And finally, what are your gratitudes this morning? Bringing your attention back to your breath for several deep breaths. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and find the slips of paper in your pews and very carefully and legibly write down a blessing, a hope, a frustration or struggle you need help with. Write them on a piece of paper, and those that you would like to be shared in community aloud, you can place in the larger wooden bowl, and those that you would like to be left unspoken, you can place in the smaller metal bowl. for compassion and love to increase and multiply in our hearts and throughout the world.
Please pray for my nephew, Rob, for strength, patience, and healing as he finishes his second week in the hospital dealing with a rare autoimmune disease. Pray for the doctors and nurses for wisdom and the ability to treat this.
Gratitude for a loved one who has returned from an arduous trip safe and sound.
Soften our fearful hearts to receive the love and healing which is already abundant, while it seems hidden from us in our fear and anger.
I am grateful for friends who have coalesced around Judson as a place where we might find meaning and do meaningful things in concert.
Grateful for all the gifts shared freely, music, camera work, treats and coffee, money, and on and on.
Come, Spirit of hopefulness.
Praise God for new beginnings.
I'm thankful for our daughters, their husbands, and our grandchildren, and how nice it was to be together this past week.
For the hope and Advent and gardens.
I am so grateful and thankful for family and friends, especially grandchildren that are so loving to me.
For my sister Jane, whose husband Jimmy died unexpectedly on Thanksgiving Day.
I am struggling to just be. I want to learn to take time to appreciate the many riches of my life.
Thankful every day for plenty to eat and a warm place to sleep.
Thank you, Karen Thomas, for the voice of the violin.
I'm so grateful for the return of my son to my life.
Grateful that cold and snow have arrived on cue, and hopeful for a proper Minnesota winter.
Sup, people. I love Travis. Laughter made me happy in life. Jimi Hendrix.
For those struggling with addiction and for their loving caregivers.
For happy memories of my dear friend Willem, whose long life ended on Friday.
A few prayers to share for this morning. On Wednesday, I wrapped up work kind of early, and before I left home, I thought that I would just text some people that were maybe homebound, that just hadn't seen, and just wanted to say Happy Thanksgiving. And then when I started that, then it was like, well, what about the people that that haven't seen in a while? Okay. And then once you get started rolling, you got to do everybody. Right? And here's what I learned from that one thing. I don't have everybody's number. Right? I have numbers that don't work. But nevertheless, even the people who I sent a text to that was the wrong person, they still wrote me back and said, it's the wrong person, but Happy Thanksgiving. Some people, you could just feel the excitement that they were talking about. People gave me exactly where they were on the road. I didn't ask any questions. I just said, have a good Thanksgiving. People sent me pictures, not only of where they were, but what they were cooking. people had these wonderful little anecdotes that they were sharing. But some people, you can't see emotions in a text. I mean, I know you can put a emoji, or you can put, in all caps. You can't see if there's tears on a text, but you could feel them. Some people, it was hell that day. And they were just trying to get through the day. And so, when we gather on a Sunday or any day, anytime you're around a table, it doesn't matter. If somebody's happy, you can rest assured that somebody's barely getting by. And on Sundays when we gather together, all we're trying to do is help the other person to get by. Because it may not be your time, but we all know this: if you're alive long enough, your time's coming. There's going to be a time where you're just going to be barely hanging on. And you're going to need somebody's love to help you get through that day. And so this morning, all we're trying to do is, maybe you're that person, or maybe you're the other person. If you need love, take it. If you got love, give it. Let us pray. Loving God, on this day that we come around a table, we come into Advent, we come just hoping to get by. Be with us in the inbreaking again, in word and song and prayer and silence and laughter and tears and warmth and cold breezes and honest speech and words that are hidden, in poems that conceal deep truths. Be with us in the midst of all of it. Do not hide your presence from us any longer. For we are a people in need of love, of forgiveness, and remembering. So may we breathe in forgiveness. May we breathe in your presence. And may we breathe in this horizontal relationship of community. Hear these prayers that we have lifted in the bowl this morning. And be with all these prayers that we offer this morning, this week, in our lives. Amen. All right, so we have two Jesuses. I mean, there's more than two, right? But there's plenty of personalities and sides to Jesus. This morning, this is when we could say it's the Jesus that gets you a little bit uncomfortable. So if you are not, squirming in your pew yet, get ready. When you see soldiers camped all around Jerusalem, then you'll know that she is about to be devastated. If you're living in Judea at the time, run for the hills. If you're in the city, get out quickly. If you're out in the fields, do not go home to get your coat. This is Vengeance Day. Everything written about it will come to a head. Pregnant and nursing mothers will have it especially hard. Incredible misery, torrential rage, people dropping like flies, people dragged off to prisons, Jerusalem under the boot of barbarians until the nations finish what was given them to do. It will seem like all hell is broken loose. Sun, moon, stars, earth, sea, in an uproar, and everyone all over the world in panic. The wind knocked out of them by the threat of doom, the powers that be quaking. And then they will see the Son of humanity, welcomed in grand style, a glorious welcome. When all this starts to happen, up on your feet, stand up stand tall with your heads held high, help is on the way. He told them a story. Look at the fig tree, any tree for that matter. When the leaves begin to show, one looks to tell you that summer is right around the corner. The same here. When you see these things happen, you know God's kingdom is about here. Don't brush this off. I'm not just saying this for some future generation, but for this one. 2, these things will happen. Sky and earth will wear out. My words won't wear out. But be on your guard. Don't let the sharp edge of your expectation get dulled by parties and drinking and shopping. Otherwise, that day is going to take you by complete surprise. Spring on where you suddenly like a trap, for it's going to come on everyone, everywhere at once. So whatever you do, don't go to sleep at the switch. Pray constantly that you will have the strength and the wits to make it through everything that's coming and end up on your feet before the Son of humanity. Woo! There we go. Just a little note here that I know it says offering right now, but the offering won't take place until after the homily. Okay, so I want to begin with a quick little story. So, and it's going to take a little bit for the lesson to kind of sink in, I know, and just hold on, we'll get there. Last week I was in Portland, and on Saturday night we had one of those wonderful dinners at a restaurant that is way too narrow and long, and it doesn't have anything on the wall, so it's extremely loud, and you can't hear anything, and everybody thinks it's a great experience, and it's terrible. You can't, your head hurts afterwards, and there we were. We tried to have a conversation, but you don't really have a conversation. You just kind of talk to the person right next to you, and the whole time they're going, "What?" And so you're screaming, basically, for an hour, and then trying to eat. It's not a really fun experience. Nevertheless, we had dinner, then we went back to the hotel. And everybody at the hotel then said, "Hey, can we meet around the fire?" Yes. So we all went up to our rooms, took our coats off, went back down to the fire. And then we had a conversation. Some people had coffee. Why people drink coffee at 9 o'clock at night, I have no idea. But there are some extreme professionals who can pull that off. Some people just had some water. Some people, one guy brought down a bottle of whiskey. People just were sitting around the fire just talking. And then all of a sudden, what happens when you start having a conversation? Well, even though you know everybody there, and everybody there knows everybody intimately, you start sharing things that other people had never heard before. So there were best friends that had known each other for 20 years, looking at each other going, "You've never told me that." Or the other person looked at him and said, why didn't you tell me that before? That could have changed everything. When you gather around a table, things happen. And when you freely share who you are, your guard's down. I mean, this week, maybe you had one of those experiences where, somebody said something that they shouldn't have around the table. And everybody gets mad. And you're sitting at a table and you wonder, how long can this happen? How long can this go on at a table? Well, the great thing about it, if you try to be mad for an entire dinner, I mean, there's something about being intimate with somebody. They get to see you, you're sitting down, you're eating, your mouth is open, you're chewing, your stomach's growling, all these things are going on. The ability to stay focused and angry is not there. Your body's concentrating on other things. As you eat with other people, anger starts to go away. I'm looking at this text in Luke and wondering, Jesus, do you need something to eat? Did you not have a good night's sleep that night? You know, all of this destruction, all of this talk about the destruction, the end of time, the Son of Man coming in clouds of glory, and pregnant women and nursing mothers having it terrible, you know, that everything's about to destroy it. I mean, there's one thing going on. I mean, yes, you know, the Gospel of Luke's written after the destruction of Jerusalem. So the destruction of Jerusalem, everybody knew what was going on, and it was a terrible thing, and it was a traumatic experience. So they're trying to figure out, what does this mean? How can the city of God be destroyed? It wasn't the first time. But what does it mean when God abandons you? And Jesus is trying to make sense of this. For Jesus, it was the end of time. Now, we think of time in this linear way. Remember, the ancients had a very different way of viewing time. The past was just beyond the horizon. The future was just on the other side. It was the end of time, meaning time ended, and a new time was starting. And it was going to be up to this small community of people to live life differently. When we come into Advent, that's the same call for us. Time has ended. A new time is beginning. And how will we live? Abraham Joshua Heschel was a Jewish theologian. One of his most beautiful lines is simply this: every day presents an opportunity. In every event, there is something sacred at stake. It's not like we only have one opportunity. You had one chance and you blew it. Really? We had one chance. You had one chance for it to happen. No, life gives you multiple chances. At every opportunity, something sacred is at stake. Whether it's at a table, where it's talking with friends, it's talking with neighbors, when it's talking with anyone, something sacred is at stake. For this new time that begins today, will opportunities be sacred? Or will they be opportunities to just throw away? The choice is yours. Amen. The call to offering, like we got two things different today. One is a new hymn, Star Child, and then there's a new doxology that's with it too. But I want to do something. If you could please turn to the hymn, we're going to read the lyrics. We won't read the refrain until the last stanza. But just let's read them together, just so you have these, since it's new words, to hear them together. Are we ready? Star child, earth child, go tree of God. Love child, Christ child, heaven's lightning rod. Street child, beat child, no child left to go. Hurt child, used child, no one wants to know. Grown child, old child, memory full of years. Sad child, lost child, story told in tears. Spared child, spoiled child, having wanting more. Wise child, faith child, knowing joy in store. Hope for each child, God's stupendous sign. Down to earth child, stars, stars that shine. This year, let the day arrive when Christmas comes for everyone alive. That is Shirley Murray, who is an Australian hymn writer. She's one of these people that seems to write like a hymn a week, but beautiful stuff that she writes. What's great about Australian Christmas songs, they all talk about it being summer. It's just kind of a weird thing. For the Call to Our, I just want to make one announcement, and that is thank you for your thank you campaign that we had here at Judson. Our goal is to raise $12,000. We raised more than $12,000. The matching grant was given, so it went to over $24,000. So thank you for your generosity in that regard. The campaign is open until December 8th. If you'd still like to make a donation toward that goal. Today, any cash that is given will be given to Starfish Ministries. This is a Communion Sunday, so thanks in advance for your generosity. need some work on that one. That's all right. Didn't the violin sound wonderful in Jim? That's all sounding great. So it's all good. It's all good. Hey, it is time for communion, and we started this practice a few months ago. Yeah, it's still going to take some time to even kind of sink into exactly what we're doing, and that's okay. You know, for years, I don't know if you ever experienced this kind of communion service, but either one, you were excluded from taking because of who you were, or who you loved, or how you lived your life, or what you believed, or there was this expectation that only the privileged few were able to come forward. Or there was the thing, okay, you may be one of the privileged few, but can we shame you enough to only a few of the few come forward? Or can we make this feel as much as a funeral as possible? You know, those are kind of the feelings we had. There's only one time in the New Testament when communion was supposed to be a somber event. And that's on Holy Thursday, Maundy Thursday, the Last Supper. All the other meals that Jesus serves are parties. 5,000 people get fed. There's a wedding at Cana. People come and they want to know, where's the food? And Jesus is there. John the Baptist came fasting and wearing weird clothes. Jesus comes eating and drinking and hanging out with drunkards and sinners and tax collectors. So, which do you want to be? You could be John the Baptist, but I'd rather you be more like Jesus. I'd rather for the times that we come together are what in the New Testament called festive joy. Festive joy. Funerals will be later in life, but right now we're among the living. And this is a meal to celebrate that you have been forgiven, welcome to the table, and love is extended to all. It should be a festive joy experience. So we ask you, when you're ready, to come forward. We have rye bread made by Bruce Elliott, handmade. Bruce, thank you much for that. There's some butter this time. And then we have the Norwegian ski cheese. Is it queen cheese? What is it? Norwegian? Yeah, but it's also got the little ski queen. Ski queen, yeah. The little red block, right? Has a nice caramel flavor. Even though I tell the youth it tastes great on waffles, nobody believes me. We have that, and then some juice. So it's substantial, and this is what we ask. That after you take communion, when you're up here, you can take all the elements here. You can take them back to your seat. But to talk about, but just kind of hang around is more than anything. Don't be in a hurry, but also realize that other people are waiting behind you. So there's space over here to kind of talk and linger and munch around and nosh and all that. So that's the thing. So receive this blessing before we take this meal. May this meal be for you a meal of communion where you are united, where you are strangers and made into friends, where all of a sudden, where there was brokenness, there's just a tiny bit of healing, where there was this anticipation and anxiety, there's just a little bit of calm and love. May this meal be that meal for you. Amen. Oh, yeah, okay. And dinner instructions, great. Because this is an evolution, we're always figuring it out. When you come forward, please come for this side over here. Go to the middle and then come out, because in the past few times, there's been a lot of people come this way, and Karen has had to adjust her elbow in the playing of the beautiful violin. And we want Karen to have free range when she plays, and to be unencumbered. So for those of you on this side, just come to the middle and then. Is that it? Okay. Now, those from north, south, east, and west will come and feast at the table of God. Festive joy, may it commence.
Oh, okay. All right. I did last Sunday. Did you see me?
Jealous of the priests, you know? They get a drink with all of them. It's not being a lot.
shake hands here. No. Yeah, exactly. It's all right.
Hey, Finn.
All right, friends, a few announcements to be shared as you are. That was the greatest thing that I thought that happened during communion. I'm not going to say who, but a human being looked at me and went, seconds. You can have as much as you want. You can have as much as you want. Take it. A few announcements to be shared. Susan, you want to make yours? Let's go over there, yeah.
After church downstairs in the fellowship hall, I'll be making the paper stars that we had up on the altar last Christmas. If anyone wants to come make them with me, and depending on how many hands we have, you may, and how much time you have, you can make one to take home as well.
Thank you. Yeah, and they'll be happening right after the service in Fellowship Hall. Carla will be in the back of the sanctuary this morning to hand out the names of the seniors for the gift giving initiative for Christmas. Yeah. So look for Carla. Back there, there is a racial justice meeting that will be in the Ann Judson room. We're going to be talking about reparations, the doctrine of discovery, Judson's kind of role in that, many other things. So look forward to that. That'll be happening right after. Also in the library, you will find copies of this book, 8 Habits of Love, Overcome Fear, and Transform Your Life. It's got Ed Bacon. It's what's going to be the sermon series after the first of the year. So we've already got the books. They're out of print. So all we did was just, called around a bunch of used bookshops and got their stock. So they're $5 each. They're in the library. Take one. And we'll be working on those in the first of the year. Now, is it a fantastic book? No, but it's a good book, right? And, it's one of those books, all books are just metaphors to help you get from one point A to point B. And there's some great stories in there to help us kind of think through these things. So take a look at that. All right, that's our announcements. So that's what we've had. Thank you, Karen, again, for just everything you've done. Thank you. Thank you, Ken, for the personal reflection. Yeah, thank you. We'll just do it. Thank you, choir, for the wonderful music. Thank you, Polly, and thank you, Bruce, for communion and making that possible the way you did. And thank you, all of you who showed up when it was 9 degrees and came here, right? So thanks for that. Yeah. So yeah. So thanks for being here and just showing your love and giving it. It's about the horizontal growth. How we lean on each one another, and let's continue to learn that. So after the benediction, there'll be a lovely postlude. So receive this blessing. May you go forth from this place as people who have been fed with just a foretaste of what life could be like. Where around the table, there's not fighting, but there's smiles and hugs and sharing of our deepest selves. So go forth from this place knowing bone deep in your marrow that the God, the creator of the universe, is not against you, but is for you. That Jesus, Emmanuel, will not desert you or forsake you, but will be with you until the end of time. And that the Holy Spirit, the Paraclete, is not your accuser, but is your advocate as you go and love this world into a new existence, knowing that you walk this earth forgiven, loved, and free. Amen. That concludes our worship service this morning. If you want to take some cheese home with you, take some cheese home with you, right? And enjoy the day, everybody. Thanks.
Good?